Hello, Care Partners, Teresa Youngstrom. It's so great to be with you today. When we're dealing with dementia and people living with brain changes, and trust me, it can look different for everybody. Your mom's symptoms will be different than mine. My symptoms will be different from yours. We're all very different. It really can take a village when it comes to caring for these individuals. And a lot of times, folks dealing with challenges that we work with, we involve a lot of times someone from a mental health perspective. And so we've brought another amazing guest on today to share with you her ideas. And I need to introduce you to my new friend and colleague, Kelle Greeson. Kelle's an Ohio licensed professional clinical counselor, a certified wellness counselor, and the founder of ELM Mental Wellness. With 13 years of experience, she specializes in working with adults using a blend of traditional and integrative therapies. Ms. Greeson is highly esteemed clinical researcher, author, and lecturer known for integrating wellness counseling with mental health treatment. Her therapy clients appreciate her practical feedback session assignments, distinguishing her from the typical, how does that make you feel therapist? She has created and conducted training programs for mental health professionals in the greater Cincinnati and northern Kentucky area. Her colleagues describe her training sessions as engaging, informative, energizing, and packed with activities and valuable material for both personal and professional development. I hope you'll help me welcome Kelle Greeson.
Hi,
Hey,
Teresa. Good
how
morning.
are you? Good morning. Thanks for being here today.
Yeah, thank you very much, Teresa, for offering to spend some time with me today. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we met when I was on the board of the Anderson Mental Health Collaborative
Hmm.
and working with individuals, and you came to one of our events, and that's how I met you.
Yes.
And I thought right away, we got to get together. This lady's got a wealth of information behind her.
Yes.
Yeah, so great. Well, you know what? Let's get to the questions because I need
Okay.
to hear. All right,
Okay.
tell me what brought you to the field of psychology.
Teresa, throughout my life, that I've noticed early on that people feel comfortable around me, begin talking to me, just start talking, and maybe they're talking about their history, they're talking about their life currently. But I've always been intrigued by human behavior and the thought processes that are behind it. So I'm fascinated about how people's minds work and then how people behave as a result. And I strongly believe there's always something new that we can learn in this field of psychology. Um, the fact that you can make a real difference in someone's life by helping them understand how their own thought processes can truly improve their mental health. But what inspired me to pursue work in this field was working for a weight loss company and identifying that there was so much more to understand and discover about a food relationship. Psychotherapy helps people understand that they can do something to improve their situation. That leads to changes that enhance their healthy behavior, whether that behavior is improving relationships, maybe it's expressing emotions better, maybe it's doing better at work or school, or thinking more positively. So here's some things that psychotherapy does to help people, to help clients. Number one, self-awareness. And this is the ability to observe yourself without judgment. Number two, regulate your emotion. And that means coping with painful emotions. Number three is about relationship and communication skills, taking that responsibility for your own role in relationships and opening up about feelings and needs, seeking and giving mutual respect, asking for and offering support, and actively listening to people. Setting boundaries, improving motivation, problem solving, positive thinking. Those are just a few. There isn't just one type of therapy, just like there is not one type of medicine. So I'm certified in many therapies, like CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy. And that is founded on the principle that people's thoughts directly affect their feelings and then the behavior. So it is the oldest, it's the most researched, and the most practiced. I'm also trained in a couple of things like DBT, which is a structured therapy that focuses on teaching core skills. I say this so often. I wish we could teach kids starting in maybe fourth grade some of these skills. Um,
Mhm.
it focuses on mindfulness and accepting and being able to tolerate things, regulate your emotion, having effective relationships. It helps really build a fulfilling life. But unlike conventional psychology, which often focuses on pathology and dysfunction, positive psychology seeks to understand what enables people to thrive and to flourish. So, this approach has yielded significant insights into human happiness and well being.
Gotcha. So, what is wellness counseling?
That's a great question. I'm certified as a wellness counselor. So, there are a few of us here in the Cincinnati area. So this focuses on the connection between mind, body, and spirit, and how to achieve this kind of a complete overall well-being. So I'm helping clients improve their quality of life by developing treatment plans that encourage healthy lifestyle changes. So as a wellness counselor, I emphasize personal choices and strengths that, and the importance daily of decision making to achieve this kind of balanced lifestyle. Now, what I find fascinating is the ancient Greeks were leaders in holistic thinking, viewing the world from this integrated point of view, not just looking at the parts or events of our lives as being separate. They believed that nothing and no one was separate, that everything was interconnected. So they were ahead of their time with their insights into this integration of mind, body, and spirit. And much later, the mind and body were viewed as separate entities, and leading to what we believe today are many of the issues that we face in this pursuit, really of well-being. So in my field of therapy, Bill Hetler created something called the 6 Dimensions of Wellness, as well as the Wellness Institute in 1976. So these dimensions or parts of us include things like your physical, your emotional, your social, your intellectual, occupational, and spiritual. And they all work together, Teresa.
Mhm.
So the Institute has defined wellness as this, that we're trying to function optimally with the current environment, whatever that environment is. So a couple of things that I do with clients to get started is asking really the honest question of what age do you want to live to? What age is that? Let's say someone says 90 years old. Great. I want to live that long too. So let's talk about that. What does that look like? What does that body look like? How is that body functioning? What activities are you engaged in? People will respond with, I want to be on my feet. I don't want to be on a walker. I don't want to be in a wheelchair. I want
Mhm.
to play with my grandkids. I want to travel. I want to read. I still want to teach. It really engages people's motivation to think about that. And it gives motivation to your current sense of self.
Mhm.
What are the things that I need to be doing to ensure that I'm living that life that I want to do in 90? And we also do this wellness wheel activity because that's how it was invented. Bill Hetler talked about this whole interconnectedness as a wheel. So you rate yourself on each of those dimensions, 1 through 10, and they're like spokes of a wheel, and then you connect those numbers. Not everyone, I think I've had 2 clients maybe in 13 years of practice
Mhm.
that ranked all 6 the same number. So that's pretty unusual
Yeah.
because we don't have a perfect wheel.
Mm.
And whatever those numbers are connected and represents, usually it looks a little wonky. It's a wheel, it still works, but it's going to be a little bumpy. And we find a particular dimension from that wheel that we want to start with. And we start talking and doing treatment toward whether it's our physical health, let's say. And as those things improve, a lot of the other dimensions will improve along with it. If I'm eating better, Socially, I feel better. Intellectually, I feel better because I've engaged and learned some new things. My occupation, lots of things improve there.
That makes good sense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so I'm going to owe you for a therapy session. I can tell already when we're done with this because I'm learning so much.
Sure.
Um, how do you think we can better address the issue of mental health in the aging population, particularly for those who may be experiencing the cognitive decline or the dementias?
Yes. So important. And so this is a great segue to the things that I just discussed about wellness. Wellness is going to be implemented throughout the ages. I have clients that range from young adults to people who have just retired and they're later in life. So it's about a healthy lifestyle, Teresa. Research suggests ongoing, physical activity, mental stimulation, social engagement, those kinds of things promote brain health. So if we're talking about physical activity, then, regular exercise lowers the risk. It lowers the risk of conditions like heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and can also prevent cognitive decline and or dementia. It can also help relieve anxiety, depression, insomnia, those things that also could be present. Mental stimulation, point number 2. That includes hobbies, intellectual things, music, theater, dancing, creative writing. So those activities help improve this quality of life and well-being. Can also turn down stress, but at the same time, helping improve memory and self-esteem. So you're probably hearing some common theme here. How wellness is intertwined in the work that we're talking, or the client that we're talking about. Social engagement. We know this. Building social support networks can help reduce stress and challenge the brain. It can be beneficial to the aging process with others who may be experiencing a similar change, the fear that comes along with that. Other healthy lifestyle things, a balanced diet. Teresa, I've been talking to clients probably for 9 years about the Mediterranean diet. And that typically comes along with depression. That's been proven, research after research after research. There's also the mind diet, which is kind of a combination of Mediterranean and DASH, which is typically for blood pressure. But I want to mention a couple of things that I've seen recently, and mostly they are inspiring and motivating. One is called the blue zones, and maybe some of us have heard about that. The blue zones are 5 zones in the world that they are recognizing now people live to 100 or longer. So it's really fascinating to see how these people are living their life. And it would be interesting to see if you notice some wellness components happening. The other show that's really fascinating too is called You Are What You Eat. It's a 4-part series. It's on Netflix, and it's a research study, a twin study. And it's one twin is eating a particular diet. The other twin eats a particular diet. And it's so amazing to see what happens from the beginning to the end. So balanced diet, reduce tobacco and alcohol, treat your mental health. If it's managing stress and or depression, common controlling, medical conditions like hypertension, diabetes, getting enough sleep, and having support, Teresa, for patients and caregivers can be helpful. Referring people to community and national resources, support groups. I think of the Cincinnati area senior services, places like that could be so helpful for families and patients together. Communication type things, I think I have found very helpful. Keeping language simple and asking one question at a time.
It's interesting that at the end of the day, going to the gym can sound like, one more thing. But the endorphins you have afterwards are so great. If you can just remember that, you're going to feel great afterwards. Just do it.
Right.
So really good. Yeah, and I have
Mhm.
researched the blue zones and things. That's exciting.
Yeah.
So how do you think we can better address the issue of mental health and context
Mhm.
of the aging population, particularly for those who may experience the loneliness and the isolation that we
Mm,
see?
it's a great question. Um, Mental health issues are very common in older adults, which you probably recognize.
Mhm.
Um, they now say about 20% of people age 55 and older. And some of those conditions, the common conditions are depression, anxiety, severe cognitive impairment, mood disorders, memory, obviously dementia and Alzheimer, which is what we're talking about today. But some life changes that can occur as we age, like losing a loved one
Mhm.
or coping with a serious illness, can also impact our mental health. So those changes can lead to feelings of grief, loneliness, social isolation, which could persist and then develop into maybe a mental illness at some point. So untreated mental health conditions in older adults can lead to diminished functioning,
Mhm.
increased disability, cognitive decline,
For sure.
substance use, poor quality of life, increased mortality, um, suicide is possible.
Mhm.
So, I want to just talk about some signs. These are some signs of mental health issues
Okay.
in an older adult population: confusion, disorientation, problems concentrating or making decisions, changes in appetite, memory loss, especially short term, unexplained fatigue and or energy loss, um, trouble sleeping, sleep changes, socially withdrawal, depressing mood that would last longer than 2 weeks. That's key. Pay attention to the duration, changes in personal hygiene, and or loss of interest in activity. So really, Teresa, the first step in getting treatment is recognizing the signs and reaching out, seeking a healthcare provider.
Mhm.
Mhm. So I want to talk just a minute the difference between loneliness and social isolation. The number of older adults, 65 and older, is growing, and many are socially isolated and regularly feeling lonely.
Mhm.
So they sound the same, loneliness and isolation, but they are different. They are related. Loneliness is the distressing feeling of being alone or separated, alone or separated. Social isolation is the lack of social contacts and
Mhm.
having few people to interact with regularly. So you can live alone and not feel lonely or socially isolated, or you can also feel lonely while being with other people. Older adults are at higher risk for social isolation and loneliness due to changes in health, social connections that come along with growing older. Hearing, vision, memory loss, disability, trouble getting around, and or the loss of family and friends. So these are some ideas that I just want to mention to help stay connected.
So good. It makes me think of so many individuals. 100
Mhm.
years ago, our parents stayed with us, the family lived together. Ma and
Right.
Pa Walton, they lived with the family, and we took
Yes.
care of
Yes.
everybody, and they stayed productive and
Right.
active, and it's just so different today the way our families tend
Mhm.
to, the young people move away
Mhm.
and, yeah, can really contribute to that too.
Right.
So interesting.
Right.
So, can you discuss current research or developments in the field of mental health that you find particularly exciting or promising? How can we help?
Okay. Teresa, this is the best part. I feel
Good.
like I could talk to you all day about this.
Yeah.
Um, throughout history in my field, we really have not understood the relationship between mental health and diet,
Mm.
let's say in the Western world.
Mhm.
So some people have suspected that there's this connection between nutrition and health, mental and physical, based on an observation. However, we didn't have scientific evidence to prove that. Today, modern scientific research is clarifying what's called a mood-food connection. So there's growing evidence now that diet and mental illness are closely linked. Improving nutrition can directly affect mental health symptoms and improve this overall mental wellness. The precise number, I think, of cases connected to nutrition is unknown. However, depression is one of the most common mental health conditions globally, and a large percentage, Teresa, of that population struggles with undiagnosed anxiety, depression, or both. So while we cannot cure depression with a healthy meal, making healthy meal choices can help improve many mental illness symptoms. So, it's easy to only think about how food affects our physical body. However, your brain is part of your body, as is your immune system, your neurological system, your endocrine system, and more. So these symptoms directly each impact areas that we associate with mental health. For example, physical symptoms regulate stress, mood, and sleep. So what you eat matters. Your body relies on things, combination of things, vitamins and nutrients and minerals, etc., water, protein, all those things. Your body can turn some of those into hormones and neurotransmitters that help the body and mind regulate. But others do things like repair cells and replace them. So without nutrients, the body works to conserve available nutrients. This is the important part. Often, this means prioritizing to keep you alive while sacrificing mental well-being and energy. Science. So what's coming is nutritional psychiatry. So, again, not long ago, that connection really was not understood well. And traditional medicines like Ayurveda in India and, ancient Chinese medicine, things like that, have long promoted what we know that what we eat impacts our physical and mental health. But it wasn't until 1998 there was a study released showing this kind of multinational correlation. Fish consumption and lowered rates of depression, and more research began to take notice, and people were now interested to study diet and mental health. So mental health experts now see nutrition as an integral part of preventing the onset of worsening mental health. So eating a diet that lacks nutrition causes the body to struggle to regulate blood glucose. Insulin resistance now happens. So that can lead to elevated and severely low glucose levels and can contribute to anxiety. I've seen that. So, as humans, our relationship to food is big. It's complex. It can be nourishing, enjoyable, it's social, it's soothing. For this reason, the relationship is bi-directional. So this means food can influence eating, and in turn, eating can affect mood and your psychological well-being. So when you're not getting proper food nutrition, Teresa, we might feel stressed in an otherwise mildly stressful situation. And we don't even know that or understand that what I'm eating is a part of that. So we might then turn to something less healthy to comfort and mediate those feelings. So in 2019, there's a study that found people who have mental health challenges increase their fruit and vegetable intake, it reduced symptoms. So in 2022 is when they really started looking at the Mediterranean diet seriously, and those that had severe depression. And it was a 12-month study, and they saw a 20.6-point reduction in those symptoms. That is massive in this field. So, and that was working on a Beck depression scale. And we know what that diet is. Again, you can easily find that information, talk to your physician about that diet, but it's gaining popularity. Many diets around the world apply similar principles of eating a diet filled with a variety of foods and ultra-processed foods. Watch those things. I put together tips for nutritional health to really help people start on their timetable. I'm creating a whole new branch right now of the business, just focusing on food, your psychological relationship with food, and people to begin to understand that, that it's, you work with a dietitian, you can work with your physician on your food itself, but understanding your relationship with it is so, so important. So for me in this field, this is what we've been waiting for this. For the science and the research to catch up. So to say the word nutritional psychiatry is really exciting for me in this field.
I love that. What is it about the medicine industry that they don't address your diet very much at all? Like, I've known so many people who say, "Oh, my blood pressure's up." And I'm like, "Oh, hey, what are you eating? Are you watching this? Are you watching that?" And did the doctor say to, instead of just putting you on, the medicine, same thing with like cholesterol, instead of putting you right onto a statin, did they talk to you about changing your diet? And how come the answer is no?
Oh,
My
I know.
chiropractor has a nutritionist in the building, and they those two tend to go together real well. But it just seems like in America, I'm sad to say that people just eat what they want up until the time their body starts to say, "Oh no, we're not going to do that." We reach our 30s and 40s and we're like, "Okay, that's not going to feel good on me anymore." And you have to start paring back and you have to start taking care of your body a little bit better.
Right.
Um, but I have epilepsy, so I have to be on the keto thing, and I can just tell you, taking out those sugars made me feel enormously better. Getting your carbs from your fruits and vegetables, your berries and your vegetables.
Yes.
I hop out of bed in the morning. I just want you people out there to know that arthritis is not a part of my life when I am eating clean, and I just feel so much better. I just can't agree with you more, Kelle.
I can't. It's so exciting to hear it. Eating, what's happening is inflammation.
Oh, yes.
That you're talking about when we have sugar and breads and carbs and those kinds of things.
Yeah.
You feel that. I feel it in my knees. I feel it in
my knees. Absolutely. First telltale sign is my left knee will say, "What are you doing?"
I know. Stop doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really exciting. And it's very, once people can understand, and I think that's why I'm integrating it as such a important part of this field. When you can understand some things, then you become more motivated and involved in the process. When you can understand things, it's kind of like with anxiety, there's so much unknown, but once we understand, I feel a little bit better. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
And my clientele typically are drawn to the sweets. And so you really have to be careful and not have those, don't present them with that absolutely first. Make sure we're offering better sources of food before, if there's a bowl of candy bars out, that's all they're going to eat. And then the carb roller coaster is so addicting. It's got to be. And I've never tried drugs, but I'm sure it's got to be like cocaine or something,
Right.
Because I can just tell you if I fall off the wagon, and which is terrible. But getting back on, it takes about 5 days to get all those carbs and aches and pains out of your body. And so for people with brain change, they tend to be drawn to the sugars. Oh, it's a thing.
Yeah.
So.
I see it too. Alzheimer's is near and dear to me. And it's something that I've seen myself personally going, to visit folks. And that's just what happens. Things are available like that, and or given out like that. So it is paying attention. And so for you and I, you know, now that's the wellness mindset. Pay attention now. If
Yes.
I want to be somewhere in 30 years and I want to be doing these things in 30 years, I need to be paying attention now. And if I need to work with somebody to do that, I need some help. I need to understand. That's what this is all about. That's why pairing a certification as a wellness counselor, Teresa, is so important in this field. You know, depression, anxiety, whatever the diagnosis is so much more than symptoms or
Mhm.
criteria. You
Mhm.
know, I have someone look out of my office at a tree. It's a very real explanation of wellness.
Mm.
If we look at a tree, what is above the ground, that's not what is keeping that tree healthy.
True.
It's below the ground,
Mm.
the roots. That's what wellness is all about. Treating those things so that we feel complete and whole and well.
Yeah, it just makes a huge difference. I can't agree more that I'm
Mhm.
so glad you brought that this came to recognizing nutrition is so vital. And I
Yes.
just am just sad that it's not a more vital educational point in our
Yeah.
society,
Me too,
especially
Teresa.
where medicine comes in.
Mhm.
And I just don't know why that isn't it isn't just a huge factor on just the overall health. I mean, we're about drinking the water and the exercise and things like that, but the nutrition piece is vital because I'm
Mhm.
not gonna feel like doing the other stuff if I'm
Oh, I
achy
know.
because I've got all this inflammation in my body.
Mhm.
You are so on track. I love this.
Yeah.
So great.
We're trying.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, definitely.
Yeah.
How can my audience seek your services? How can they seek you out? What are the best ways for them to find Kelle Greeson?
So the first thing is you can go to my website, which is eatlovemove, all one word, .net. I have a Facebook page, which is ELM Mental Wellness. You can certainly call, you can send an email. You know, I can provide those phone numbers to you, Teresa, if you want to get those.
Yeah,
But
I can put them in the show notes.
that would be great.
Yeah.
People can easily reach me any of those ways.
Wonderful, wonderful. I
Yeah.
love that. Well,
Yeah.
I this has been such a pleasure. Like I said, I think I owe you a fee for, therapy that I just got. It was so wonderful, and
Thanks,
I just
Teresa.
so appreciate you coming on. And, I think maybe we need to circle back, and in 6 months or so, maybe let's meet again and talk about where things are going because I feel like you're just on the edge of breaking
Mhm.
into a whole new area with individuals who are struggling.
You're absolutely right. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's do this again. Thanks so much for being here. So, everybody, was that incredible? I mean, so much information. I am so excited to hear from Kelle Greeson, and I hope that you'll seek out her information. Go to her website, check out what she's doing. She does speaking events around town, and I know there are ways for people out of town to still reach her and get connected and be able to take advantage of her wealth of knowledge. You guys, what a great day. It's always great to be with you. I hope that you will again like and share and subscribe. The YouTube is just growing, and it's so great to be sharing with so many people out there. And I just hope that your journey is going well and that this helped you. And just keep in mind, as always, guys, from me to you, you got this.